Logan. Good morning. I'm going to call the the special call meeting to order for August 2nd, 2024 at 8:30, the emergency meeting for the discussion of the LSC to the development in the Gulf. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of a resolution declaring a local state of emergency due to the anticipated tropical storm in Suwannee County. Ms. Henderson, before we vote on this, would you give us a briefing on the current situation, status, update, where the county's at, etc.?
We had a meeting yesterday with the state, and this storm is named right now Invest 97. It has not been a named storm yet. They're monitoring. They're still at a level 3, so it's just monitoring. The state signed a state of emergency yesterday afternoon. So at our 5:15 meeting, right before that, we all got copies of that. We went ahead and are proactive and went ahead and put in about 7 or 8 different missions in the event that it does come over us like they're expecting it to, that we'll be prepared.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Henderson? Comments, concerns? Tim, Chief, y'all good? Ready?
We're ready.
We're at 2-a-day meetings today. Started yesterday, 11:15 and 5:15. So those will go on through the weekend, and as that changes, I will keep you guys.
Those are state updates?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got one.
Mr. Cutler.
And it's from the citizen's point of view, of course. I cringe when these things are done willy-nilly, and I realize once again we're a central county in Florida, and y'all ain't accustomed to storms coming through. We over on the coast, we had these monthly, in this season. Never was there a state of emergency. All right, and we're on the coast. All right, so we put our goggles on, and go play in 70-mile-an-hour winds on the beach, and it was fun. And all the buildings there, we didn't have the trees like we got here. The power outage and all that potential, but I watching how it was done last time with Adelia, and it was drug out for months. And when we're under a state of emergency, I hope all y'all know it's about the same as martial law. All right, so when the sheriff imposed a curfew on us with conditions that we used to play in, that I was walking out on my porch in. And I know there was some there was some structural damage and all that during that, but absolutely, I don't want y'all unaware that our citizens' rights are restricted during these times. And, you can come take my property. Any of my property.
We're not taking your property.
Well, okay, you're not. You're saying you're not. And I don't believe you would. I would be, but I'm telling you, these are conditions you are voting in at willy-nilly, in a sense. And I'm not being ugly, but I'm telling you, the conditions of our country right now, in the world, and I'm here, part of my ambition and my drive is to see that Suwannee County don't go in that direction. And I mean, how do you catch a hog? All y'all hog farmers or hunters, you put the fence up one piece at a time, right? And once that hog gets used to that fence, put another section up, and then you got the hog. Ain't no work at all. And so, or is that y'all's intentions? I'm not implying that. All right. Are there others with that intention? You darn right there are. So, I want y'all to be aware of that as we go into this again. And I played with y'all during Adelia to get out of that as soon as possible. And are we taking advantage of state and federal money during these times? Okay, we give them more money, and we give them $100, they give us back $20. Is that what's part of what's going on? I realize that. I don't know as much as y'all, but I do know when my rights are being infringed upon, and I'm very concerned about that. Thank you.
I hear your comment, and I'm going to address it, and I'll ask any other commissioner too as well. But correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Henderson, but FDEM is recommending this for all the Big Bend counties.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Several of them had already signed their LSC yesterday. The state was actually waiting on the Big Bend to sign it, and the Big Bend was kind of a wait and see kind of thing. And so the state wanted to take proactive measures because we're fiscally constrained, and go ahead and use those measures because they are where we get all of our assets.
Yeah, so Mr. Klepper, I hear your concerns about your rights and us restricting them, but on the flip side of that, I feel like that as a fiscally conservative and fiscally constrained as well, and I think we got a fiscally conservative group in this room, that if we don't do this and this thing dumps 20 inches of rain on Sunday afternoon and we have to use mission requests and do all this stuff on Sunday night or Monday morning before this board can get back together and go under LSC, then I'm going to have a lot of folks in my district and in this county saying, hey, why didn't y'all do this? Because you just cost us $1 million that is non-refundable for any type of state or federal assistance. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm not discounting it, but it's kind of a danged if you do, danged if you don't. I got you saying, hey, don't do this, you're restricting my rights. You're not really supportive of it, or maybe you're cautious of it. But nonetheless, I hear you. And I'm not saying I disagree with you, but if this thing does speed up, gains energy, and hits us on Sunday afternoon, and we ignore the suggestions of the state, FDEM, and we don't do it, we could be at the risk of losing money.
And it cuts off the resources and the quickness that we can get the resources. Right now, everybody's on, all the resources that I put in is on a standby for evacuation measures. If we do have that much water, it's gonna cut roads off, and it's gonna, we're not equipped to go in. We don't have a lot of boats. We don't have a lot of life-saving measures, so we have to ask the state for that.
And those resources are not delivered to the counties unless that county is
Absolutely.
under an LSC. So we're kind of like,
It's better to be prepared and not need it, have it and not need it, than need it and not have it.
How do we protect our constituents and our citizens, either fiscally and then also physically, and have those resources at the touch of our fingers, but then worry about not taking somebody's property? I mean, I think this is a preventative cautionary measure in this situation because of the timing of it over the weekend, but I'll hush and let any of you other guys.
Well, trust me, we don't like to sit here and do these LSC meetings every week on and on and on either. So I'm with you on that part of it. You need to get in, get out, and be done with it. But as we know, the last storm, we had all that damn storm cleanup to do. I think it was $20 million before it was all over with. And just think, if we hadn't have done what we done back then, the county would be on the hook for $20 million that we don't have. So I get your point, and I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, we got to look after everybody in the county, and this is the only way we can do it.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
I was just going to ask, somebody had mentioned, or I read somewhere, it's more rain than wind. Is
Correct. That's what they're projecting.
Okay.
So yesterday's weather meeting, they projected it's not going to be a wind event, it's going to be a rain event, and because we're already saturated, they're worried that it's going to be another Debbie type situation for us. But now that was yesterday's update, and the model is continuously changing. There was a lot more questions than there were answers, which is why we're having 2-a-day meetings now.
I understand. So
I got one more quick
yes, sir. Mr. Clark.
comment. What about, I heard standby, that's a good word. What about a contingent standby? Y'all do everything you're going to do this morning to put us under that emergency situation, but don't declare it. Have it standby, and all we got to do is make a phone call or an email.
Doesn't work.
That doesn't. Mr. Attorney.
Can't work like that?
No, only the board has the power to do it, and it's like being pregnant, you either are or are not. So you could meet now and then meet later if you wanted to put it on pause.
Has to be a physical meeting? It can't be like a Skype or whatever?
No, and then, and the other problem with it too, and just as the real practical reason behind this is it short circuits all of the state procurement rules, so that way you can get your hands on stuff you need immediately. For example, there's orders being put in for 10,000 sandbags, so that way they're available before the storm. Absent an LSE, you don't get the 10,000 sandbags to be available for our citizens. So, and quite frankly, the governor's already declared a state of emergency over Suwannee County, so the martial law aspect of it has already been invoked by the governor. It's not going to be the county that does anything like that. So the only thing that the county is doing by approving the county LSE is ensuring that resources are available for Suwannee County citizens.
Chief Miller, Deputy Chief White, anything you guys want to add before I ask for a motion?
No, we're ready. We've been prepping for the last 24 hours.
Okay.
So we'll be here when you call.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, sitting good? Any
We're
questions?
meeting at 3 p.m.
Okay, to do LSE as well.
If there's anything that, I sent out an email yesterday, but if there's anything that you need requested after you sign your LSE, let me know and I'll get it put in.
Mr. Sessions had a doctor's appointment, but I'll get with him.
Okay.
How does the town of Brantford work? Because it's not a city, so do they have to declare an LSC as well? Or have you talked to them? Or
They're
do you know?
supposed to, but they were, when the Dahlia hit, they were late to the game.
So can you make that phone call, please?
Okay.
And urge them to do so that resources would be available to them under the state assistance, should they need them. Thank you, Heather. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or do I have a motion?
So moved.
Tie. So I'm going to give Commissioner Hale a motion to approve. Commissioner White, I'll give you the second. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0, Mr. Clerk. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Greg, did you have something?
Yeah, just so Commissioner White knows, I reached out with Stacy and I were texting last night about the declaration. Also, I sent a text this morning to Ken, let him be aware. I've not responded, not get anything back from Ken, but I tried to reach out to them, let them be aware of what we were doing. So we'll follow up again with them today too. Manny will do that for us.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, we let the record reflect that Administrator Scott was present via telecommunications. Please, sir.
And just, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Heather, you said you got how many more meetings set up today?
So there are 2 calls with the state today, one at 11:15 and one at 5:15. When I talked to the weather yesterday, they said if there was no change, we would not have a weather meeting today, and I've not been made aware that we're having one today. There will be 2 tomorrow, and then as it progresses, there may be more with the state, but
And are you gonna email us?
I will.
And keep us up?
I will. And if we become declared or activated, I'll send out that email, and I'll probably make phone calls to you guys to let you know when, where, and what,
Okay, thank you.
just to make sure you have the information.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Commissioner White.
Mr. Scott, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, are we doing anything proactive as far as roads that we know flood, or is there anything we can do ahead of this? Since we know it's pretty.
The guys have got everything staged, ready to go whenever they get the call. They know where they flood already.
Yes.
We've already dispatched to get sand in Brantford, along the fire station. Also, they're at the annex where we usually put it. So our guys already know the drill, so they're staged, ready to go.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on the heels of that, Mr. Scott, the last time we had something like this, I think the biggest problem we had was not having enough barricades and cones and stuff. Are we prepared for that? Go around?
We've got quite a few. We've got access to more. We can certainly put in the mission for more, and as we get an idea of kind of what's coming. Heather, can you coordinate with Mandy on what we have now on hand, and our guys will know how much more we need just because of history. Is that something we can mission in for as barricades?
Yes, it is.
And I can't remember the name. What's the company out here?
Heather on that, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
What's the company out here at the industrial site that does barricades and stuff like that? Y'all help. Anyhow, they let us borrow some last time, but I just wanted to make that phone call ahead of time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And we've got about 50 of those metal fencing barricades if you need an emergency in the short term.
I just knew Mike Gamble ran completely out last time, and cones were out, everything. We had to run out of that.
Anybody else? So, nothing else. All I need is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner White and a second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Sure.